You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
Hey, there's the music. That means it's time for Animal Talk. Some of the best doggone pet people on the planet, like that guy sitting in front of the car.
Hi, I'm Brian Donovan, and I've been in quarantine for 52 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it doesn't...
That's nothing.
It doesn't even show. Managing our social media mayhem.
Doing what I can. Hi, Matt Fox. Good to be back.
And pushing our buttons, just waking up from her midday nap.
Who was on
muted
mute.
out, Sam Nork. She's not talking.
Sorry.
Sam Nork is not talking. Hi, Sam.
I said hi. Oh, hi.
Hi. It's good to see you, Samantha. We missed a week, and I didn't see you guys. None of the regular animal shenanigans, so I'm glad everybody's able to hang out. And I'm getting yelled at because I'm too loud. All right, so I'll try to... I just project when I'm on the thing here. Animal Talk, helping people with their pets. That is what we're here to do. And talking about bringing new pets into your life, right? Just because the world is stopped, that doesn't mean that we stopped sharing the love and bringing the love. And today, this month is, where are we at? We're May. It's March, April, and Mayeth, something like that. But it's National Adopt a Cat Month. And a friend of ours sent us an email just reminding us of that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Mark. We should probably talk about that. I go, and he's like, hey, I got Dr. Lesa, and she would love to tell you a little bit more about, the National Adopt a Cat Month, and then just some things to think about. So, Dr. Lesa, welcome to Animal Talk.
Thank you. Great to be here with you guys.
So,
talk about animals.
Yeah. Dr. Lesa, tell us about your childhood.
About my childhood, well, it was very drenched in pet fur, I'll tell you. Watching kittens born as a small child had a big impact on me, and probably had something to do with my endless desire to become a veterinarian, which I just couldn't seem to get over until I did it. So,
right on. So where did you go to vet school, and where are you practicing now?
I'm from Oklahoma, and I went to vet school at Oklahoma State University. And I've been in small animal practice as well as teaching at the university, where I taught shelter medicine and basic surgery to the bright, shining veterinarians of tomorrow. And then now I work for American Humane, and I'm the veterinarian on the rescue team. So I do things like respond to disasters. When there's a big disaster, we sweep in and coordinate with the local entities to whether it's a hurricane or wildfires, or hey, what about a pandemic? So now we're trying to learn how to deal with the situation with the pandemic, because truly this is a disaster if we've ever seen one.
So there's so many moving parts. Even though we're not moving, we're pretty locked down. But I mean, there's so many moving parts to what's going on in the world right now, between people hurting for cash, people out of work. So it's and that concerns pets and adoption rates. So what's happening? Do you have a handle on what's happening with adoption rates right now during this pandemic? Is there a bigger need, lesser need? What's going on?
Well, that really varies widely depending on what part of the nation you're looking at. In a lot of our more metropolitan shelters, and in some of our areas that are more better funded, of course, we made a big push right off the bat about adopt a pandemic pet. If you can take another animal into your home, this is a great time. Help reduce those numbers in the shelter, and we know the shelter employees too are responding to this and struggling under it. And but in more rural areas or in more poorly funded areas, we are seeing shelters struggling because they're being, they have their normal load, and then add that on top. This is kitten season and puppy season, where we typically do see an increase in animals going into our shelters. Quite frankly, here at the local shelter in Stillwater, just in the last few weeks, they at first things were looking pretty good. Adoptions were going well. They were doing them as remote adoptions. And then But now we're starting to see the real effect where people either because they've lost their job or they've lost their home and they're having to relocate and can't take the animals with them. I fostered a kitty for about a week myself to get him on his little path, and then now he's luckily off in his forever home and all. But he was exactly his scenario, and this is a cat that was a love kitten, had been clearly loved and cuddled all his life, but by no fault of his own, he found himself in the slammer. And our open shelters, they have no choice but to take in the animals that come their way. They must take them in, and if they can have space and the ability to adopt them out, that's great. If that number exceeds that, it's not so great.
It is, and it's just so many people are facing difficult finances, and it's like they're making a hard decision of not keeping pets right now, which is difficult for folks. I can't wrap my head around it.
Totally heartbreaking. I mean, you can imagine somebody. We're all struggling emotionally. I don't know about you guys, but I like to think of myself as emotionally strong and all that stuff. Oh my gosh, I get it now. I get the struggles of battling that, pushing back on depression. And imagine if you had to couple that with having to relinquish your pet in the middle of it all. It's really quite tragic.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, how many animals are not getting spayed and neutered right now,
right,
because of decreased services? And that's the whole next wave of trouble.
So yeah, Dr. Karen joined us, and she is a veterinarian here in the Metro Detroit area, and she runs the Serenity Animal Hospital, just this fabulous place, and they do a lot of fostering there at the Serenity Animal Hospital, and we've been sharing ideas with her about because it's they say keep it down to essential service. Dr. Karen, the spays and neuters are those fall under the essential services, right?
Yeah, adopting also felt. Sorry, I'm letting my dogs in and out, so I look kind of funny. That's what I'm doing. Adoptions were considered a non-essential service, so we were not allowed to do adoptions.
Wow.
If we're following the rules. And as far as just the fostering and stuff, we can allow fostering. That is certainly something that can be done. But we've had pretty good adoption rates in the past, but cats are always a tough one, and we've gotten quite a few kittens in already, and I know that they're going to need to go somewhere really, in the not too distant future. Spays and neuters were considered non-essential until just last week, when the governor allowed shelter spays and neuters only. So technically we're still not allowed to do client procedures, but we can do, the animals that are considered shelter animals. So it's been kind of challenging, and, working under all of these different conditions definitely does make things a little more interesting.
Yeah. So if somebody's thinking about bringing a kitty into their household, Dr. Lesa, this is the Cat Adoption Month, National Cat Adoption Month. What are some things people should keep in mind? We have a top 10 list. I love top 10 lists. I love 10 lists. But you had 10 ideas about things to consider when thinking about becoming a cat owner or expanding your cat family.
Well, of course, our first tip is, hey, why just get one? Get several. But everybody, first off, quite honestly, you need to know your own limitations, and you want to approach adoption of an animal very seriously and make sure you are prepared financially, that it's a whole family decision if there's others involved. And so actually you want to make sure you take that decision making very seriously, and utilize those people around you. If you're adopting from a shelter, utilize them to help you match your personality and how you vision cat with the type of cats they know, because they know their animals. That way you're not picking one just based on color or hair length or whatever, but try to pick one that matches up a little bit better with what you expect out of a cat. Do you want one of those sleepy guys that lays around all the time, or do you really like the one that's real frisky and playful? So look into that, and prepare your home. So, connect with your veterinarian beforehand, set it up. If you know you're going to be adopting an animal, go ahead and make yourself an appointment, maybe half a week or a week after the adoption with your veterinarian to establish that relationship and to follow up with whatever care has been started at the shelter. But keep in mind, when you bring that new animal home from a shelter, particularly a cat, they have been through a lot. And cats and stress, it takes cats a long time to come down from stress, chemically to come down from it. It really does. And so expect that cat to need several days to maybe a week or two to really settle in, let it have lots of quiet time. Set up a room just for that cat where it knows it has a place to go, where it can get away from any other people or animals and have private place to be. Put all its stuff in there and let it come out as it's ready. And that cat will, you'll probably need to sleep up for a few days when it comes home from a shelter, quite frankly. But
I totally agree with everything she said. And, one of the things we do, and hopefully most shelters do, is allow time for them to play with the animals, to find the one that, that adjusts to them. We see, and this goes for dogs and cats, but boy, I tell you, we see some situations where a cat or a dog just will not connect with a person, but then they'll connect with another person really, really well. And we say they don't show well. And they may show, sorry, for joining me. They may show better for one person than another. And it's like, it's who they connect to. And, that's really important. Don't, like she said, don't just pick based on color. Pick based on, what works for your household. And we often will recommend that people take 2 kitties at the same time, because if they have any intention of adding in the future, then it's always a good idea to do that at the beginning rather than afterwards, because cats may have established their personality and their territory and may not accept a newcomer as well or at all.
That's so
like
true.
Stress is really a big deal. If you add in a newcomer later on, then you can end up with a lot of issues with the cats too.
I think it took like 12 years for my wife's cat and my cat to really get to the point where they got along. It took like 6 years for her cat to get along with me. So yeah.
Yeah, everybody's different. And you do see some cats that are, not as open, as we say, they're feral. If they haven't been socialized as a kitten from the beginning, they may be very, very aloof and very secretive. And so people need to know that so that they know what they're getting into when they do adopt. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have a few cats here that I consider are semi-feral. They'll let me touch them. They'll let me, maybe do a little bit more, but they don't really want to come hang out with me or whatever. But as you can see, I do have some cats that are pretty friendly too.
So, Dr. Lesa, cat-proofing a home. Can you cat-proof a home?
Well, you just want to do your best, and the cat's going to point out to you pretty quickly the things you might have forgotten. But you want to think about things that cats. You don't want them chewing on electrical cords. You certainly don't want them eating, playing with unattended, playing with strings and things like that they might ingest. That can be a real problem in cats. You don't want to leave food on the cabinet. Well, that's an invitation for the cat to jump on your cabinet, and if that's not what you want, it's best to try to avoid that habit building. And so, look around and think. Cats have natural tendency to scratch. They certainly like to do it. So if you'll create them a great place to scratch and play with toys on that, drag things over that to entice them to that, hopefully you can direct that kind of behavior onto that. So there's those kind of things you can do. So get your house set up. Make sure before you bring Kitty home that you've already procured everything you're going to need. And that way, when the cat comes in, you just can let them settle. But certain plants are toxic to cats too. Some simple things like Easter lilies. There are things that we should not have around our cats. So just do a little bit of research into it. If you have a wide variety of crazy plants in your house, you might just check it out. Make sure you don't have one there that.
Yeah, definitely.
I had a question for Dr. Karen.
What other advice do you have?
Dr. Karen, do you have cats, or do you just own the cat butts? Because all I've seen is cat butts crossing the.
There's a head here. See?
I'm not judging. I'm just wondering if you own the whole cat. That's all.
There you go. Here's Clarissa.
Oh, okay. And another observation, I might as well throw my 2 cents in about cats, cat ownership. If you take a baby kitten and you pick them up by the nape of the neck, they curl their legs and they curl into a little ball. And Sam does exactly the same thing when you pick them up. That's all I have.
So, Dr. Lesa, what happens with your cats when the murder hornets swarm us? What do we do?
Well, whether it's murder hornets or some other disaster that forces you to have to suddenly evacuate your home, which I'm thinking if it's murder hornets, you might want to stay indoors. But anyway, let's imagine a hurricane approaching. Just be prepared. Your cat is going to be another part of your family. So be prepared for that family member like you would yourself. If make sure you have let somebody know who you need a backup contact. And in this time of COVID, for example, what are you going to do if you get sick and can't take care of your animals? Do you have a backup plan for somebody that can help you with that? Plan ahead. It's always better to lay these things out beforehand and hope you don't have to use them. Have listed your veterinarian, have listed any medications or special needs of this animal, and make sure you have ample supplies for a couple of weeks for that. But and a very important thing about cats is if you need to transport that cat, put them in a cat secure transport thing, whether that's a cat crate, a soft side carrier, or even an emergency. It can be something as simple as a pillowcase, and that's an emergency item, but in a flooded house, it beats the heck out of letting that cat shoot off into the night and be lost. We've seen so many sad stories. Cats should never be moved outside of their setting loose, because all it takes is one noise, one bit of panic, and they will bust loose from you, and you'll be scarred and they'll be gone. And many tragic stories happen about that. So think about how you're going to transport them. And if you have a lot of animals, think about how you're going to get them out of your house with you in a case of emergency. We've seen tragic things in floods where people just could not get all their family and animals into the car, and they had to leave them behind.
Oof.
And it's heartbreaking. So just think and be prepared.
All right, Dr. Lesa, thank you. And it's we have like a lot of doctors in the house now. Dr. Michelle is with us too. Dr. Michelle, we're talking about it's National Adopt a Cat Month, and Dr. Lesa was sharing some ideas about good ideas to keep in mind while adopting a cat. And Michelle, you are the president-elect of which organization again?
The American Association of Feline Practitioners.
There you go.
So
I screw it up every time.
Yeah, AAFP.
There it is.
So Michelle, during this pandemic, people are locked down. People are at home. People are lonely. You see friends that are lonely. Wouldn't it be a good idea to gift them a cat?
Yeah, gifting animals is probably not a good idea, because people need to be able to pick out their own pet, find that specific pet they want, that bond. Yeah, no, that usually works out very well.
It was a loaded question,
right?
Yeah, you just put a ribbon and a bow on the pillowcase, and
right, it's fine.
In there, right?
Oh, all right. So, Dr. Lesa, we talked earlier about people sometimes giving up their pets right now because of money issues, and so there's more pets in shelters. There's people that need help feeding their pets at home. Do you guys have something going on about feeding pets?
We do. We have our Feed the Hungry program, because clearly our shelters are struggling right now, along with everyone else, and so this program allows shelters and all to write for support for food and supplies and medical supplies as well, because it's just a critical time for us to all step up and help. And American Humane, the people who support American Humane, this is their big chance to help push out to shelters, whether it's one locally to you, and don't hesitate to reach out to your local shelter. Mm-hmm. These are times where let's work closely if we can. And through our program, we try to touch some of those shelters that aren't getting the support that they really need.
All right, there you go. So what's the website there? People can find out more about American Humane?
AmericanHumane.org. Please check us out. And we're the nation's oldest humane organization and have a proud history of many things. And but this Feed the Hungry campaign that we're putting on now is really important. So if you get a chance, go to AmericanHumane.org and help us out.
Well, Dr. Lesa, so glad you were able to hang out a little bit and talk about cats because I'm a cat. You could tell. I had Percy up here. I'm a cat guy. So I love talking about the kitty cats whenever we can. So thank you so much. And so check it out, AmericanHumane.org for all that information. And again, Dr. Lesa, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, cool.
Thanks, Lesa.
So Andrew's here. Andrew, how you doing, man?
Doing good, Jamie. How's everything?
Excellent. Andrew was online earlier, and he's like, is anybody doing their podcast tonight? I'm lonely.
I'm so used to doing like tons and tons of shows, and today I had all kinds of stuff going on, and I was like, man, I got to get on a podcast. And actually, this is great timing.
Yeah.
So Dr. Carey and Dr. Michelle, I have a question for you. So I had a cat show up in my backyard. What's it been, Jamie? 6 or 7 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Not in good health, elderly, 13 years old. I don't think his hearing and eyesight's very good. And I think he might have a little bit of like kitty dementia, just to be totally honest. I have noticed a pretty drastic reduction in his vision recently. Just this morning, I noticed that he came around a corner that he always comes around in the morning, and he went headfirst into a vacuum cleaner that was there. So, he hasn't been with us very long. He already seems to be confused a lot of the time. And now I feel like his eyesight's getting worse. Are there things that I can be doing to make him more comfortable during this kind of what I can assume is going to be a pretty steady decline?
Getting him checked out at a veterinarian might help us figure out why. Is he blind? Like, does he have?
He's cloudy behind the.
Does he have cataracts? Is he diabetic? Does he have kidney disease and he has high blood pressure and he went blind that way? Like, I don't know.
No diabetes, no liver disease, no kidney disease. His blood work actually came back great. He just has lived a very hard life.
Yeah, I mean, they adapt to being blind pretty well. They kind of learn their surroundings. So as long as you don't move things around, if he's outdoors, it'll be a little trickier. But, he'll learn where you keep everything outside. So they have a very good memory about that. Being blind is not necessarily painful, as long as there's nothing else going on with him and it's just cataracts and getting old.
Okay.
That would be the most helpful. Do you have a fenced in yard or does he just roam the neighborhood?
We don't have a fenced in yard. We've actually been keeping him inside. He has no interest in being outside anymore.
Oh, good. So he is indoors.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very good. Just don't move things around your house. They use their whiskers a lot. Sorry, my children. They use their whiskers a lot for sight and trying to be able to like feel where things are. So not really seeing, but they feel a lot with those.
Andrew does the same thing.
I do. And actually, I have to give credit to James. He told me not to hide the litter box. I was going to change positions of it every day, but I'm glad I'm leaving it in the same spot.
Leave everything the same, and he'll learn the lay of your house.
All right, I can do that.
Yeah, the best thing for you to do is make sure you've got really, a good veterinarian helping guide you through all this and checking blood work. With older animals, we like to check blood work at least every 6 months because so much can happen in such a short time once they age. And really looking into anything that might be going on that's different when you see it is always a good idea to check into it.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. Yeah, we try. I have a cat that's 20 years old. So awesome. We have done a pretty good job of keeping him going. I think he's going to outlive us, honestly. I need to just make him a part of my will.
Well,
I don't have any kids, but
I made my animals part of my will because when I was going in for my back surgery, I wanted to make sure I had everything all straight. And all of my animals are in my will, listed by name and what they get. And with me, I don't have really much family, so my animals are my family, so they're getting most of anything that I have left.
We did a story on Oprah, Brian, you remember that? And Oprah, and she had her pets in her will for like several $1 million each. It's just crazy. If you have that kind of,
it's always good to provide. You never know what's going to happen. We've had clients who unexpectedly passed.
Yeah.
We've had animals that were in our boarding facility and their owners passed, like they were in the hospital and died.
Yeah.
And, in most cases, when things like that happen, people aren't prepared and don't have anything in their will. We have rehomed those animals, found really good homes for them, or, maybe a relative decided to take on that pet. But, it really is a good idea to make some provision because, you don't want the animal ending up going to a shelter and everything that goes along with that, just the horror of losing their owner and then ending up in a jail. And, who knows what's going to happen? Are they going to be put down or whatever? You really do they're a family member. So you want to make sure that they're provided for in one way or another, or that someone is going to take care of them afterwards, that you have that all straightened out ahead of time.
Yeah. So Andrew, we haven't talked in a little while. And did you change the name of your podcast? Did you adjust the name of your podcast in the last year or so?
I haven't. I just keep doing more because I'm clinically insane or something. I don't know.
All right. So
maybe it's my cat driving me up the wall. I don't know. So
what do you got going on in the podcast world now?
Well, so I have my Boost Booze and Barbecue show, which is, of course, the catch-all, We still have Pardon My Fork. We've started doing a small batch edition of Pardon My Fork, which is what we call our tasting Mondays. So it'll be wine, beer, whiskey, whatever. And as often as we can, we have the maker, the distiller, the winemaker, whatever, to come on and talk about their product. And then I'm doing, does anyone here not know what drifting is, like car drifting?
Tokyo Drift.
I watched the movie. Yeah. I've seen
okay.
it, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So I'm doing basically an Oregon drift show called Clutch Kick Radio with a friend of mine. And I'm producing 3 other shows that
Oh my goodness.
all go out. Yeah. That's the funny thing about building myself a studio is once my friends start getting real serious about wanting to do something, they decide they want to get serious about it. And as if I wasn't enough of a glutton for punishment, we're also starting a company called Oregon PPE, where we're going to start manufacturing both surgical masks and N95 respirators, because I think the one thing we can all agree on here pretty much universally is that we need to be manufacturing emergency equipment in the United States so we don't have these breakdowns of our systems. So that's a big one for me right now. We're trying to secure funding. We have the building picked out. We have the machinery on hold. Thanks to automation, we can build these masks for even cheaper than you can get them from China for. So it's really a no-brainer for manufacturers to bring it here and for our hospitals and first responders to start purchasing from more local companies.
Andrew, is there a website, like a main website people can find your stuff?
Absolutely. It's well, first of all, the podcasts are at thomascreekdigitalmedia.com, and literally it's just at and the name of the show, no spaces, on Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Cool.
And then Oregon PPE is just oregonppe.org.
All right.
And we're still getting the website put together, but we love to hear from people, and you can actually email us at info@oregonppe.org if you have any stories, any ways that not having personal protective equipment has affected you. We continue to compile those stories and try to send it to our very dense local politicians and try to get them to understand that this is something that we need, and it would be a good idea for them to help us out.
Yeah, we have Podcast Detroit. We do some meetups, and we get together on the Zoom, and not for recording, but just for commiserating. And one of the people that joins the Zoom with some relative frequency is a nurse. And, inevitably she's, her face is bruised up from the day. It's there's a need for good quality stuff for sure.
I'm not going to show you on camera, but my nose, I've got a rash from wearing one of the cheapo overseas made masks because I had a doctor's appointment for the first time in I don't know how many months. Threw that thing on, took it off an hour later, and I had a rash across my nose, and I just thought, what is in these things? We have no idea.
Karen, you're having a hard time getting materials for your clinic?
Definitely. I was just talking about possibly adding face masks, and we can't, the face shields, I should say. and we can't get those. We've got like one box of N95 masks. We can't get any more. It's like you can't get the stuff. And I think it's easier on the human side to get the stuff than it is on the veterinary side. Because right now everybody's been donating and doing everything for the human side, but on the veterinary side, our suppliers don't have anything.
Jeez.
I'm real sorry to hear it, you guys. Hopefully 60 days from now, you can hit me up and I'll send you a couple 100,000.
I like it.
I don't know if we need that many, but that would be great.
Hey, Brian, I got a question here, Brian. I don't know if it's going to turn out to be a medical question or if this is a behavior one, but it's about a cat and it's over grooming. There's an over grooming behavior. We have a 19-month-old rescue male kitten. He's constantly grooming himself. His fur is wet in several areas, and he works at it really, really hard. Do you know why he might be doing this? We comb him frequently. We fostered him since he was 2 months old, and we adopted him at 4 months. He was with his mother for 2 full months before he joined us. Just grooming. Is over grooming a trainable behavior?
Well, it depends. The onset is what's important. If this cat was going about his business, everything was fine, then he just picked up this behavior. Cats kind of keep things inside. The first thing I would do whenever a cat, especially an adult cat, changes its behavior, get him to the vet right away, because sometimes that's the first sign that there's something wrong with the cats, when they start changing their behavior, and they don't typically display a pain response the way you or I would, or even a dog would. Dogs sometimes will yip or favor. Cats sometimes they'll just hole up or have these compulsive behaviors, and that's could be a toothache, could be something real serious. But yeah, you want to get them to the vet. And on that note, I'm sure Dr. Karen, Dr. Michelle, probably want to.
Dr. Michelle, did that ring any bells for you, Dr. Michelle?
So yeah, over grooming could be an allergy to something. Sometimes cats are itchy. I've seen it a lot when people put baking soda in the litter or use Arm & Hammer that adds baking soda, especially if they're over grooming their belly. So I guess the question is the cat over grooming everywhere, or is it just in one area? Sometimes it's a stress behavior, and then that's not really, it's kind of medical, but somewhat behavioral, kind of a mixture. But if there's other cat in the house that's picking on the cat, there's kids in the house and the cat doesn't like the loud toddler, that can sometimes come out and be seen in a cat that's just over grooming. My own cat, my sister moved in with me when she was going through school. And when my sister moved in with her 2 cats, my cat started pulling her hair out on her back. And it was a stress behavior that went away when my sister and her cats moved out. So sometimes I've seen it with that. But then there is other medical instances where, are they painful? Is the cat declawed and having issues with being painful there? Did it jump wrong and now it's showing up? It could be anything. So seeing your veterinarian first to kind of rule out medical issues is very helpful.
All right, cool, Brian.
Yeah, and like I was saying about the onset, Dr. Michelle just kind of talked about that as well. If you can associate it with something that a new person living in the house or a new animal that you brought, sometimes it's a temporary condition, but with cats, it's such a funny thing that that would be my first thing. For the price of a veterinary visit, it's really worth it to rule that out first before you take a behavioral approach.
All right. So this is like the licking show, I think. I got another one here for you, Brian. It's coming from Pokey Puppy. Why does my dog lick his bed? Why does he lick his bed? Any thoughts? He not only curls up in it, but he often stands outside of his bed and licks it. It could be boredom. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Why would my dog lick his bed? And is there a way to train him not to? Because it's weird.
Can I just say real quick, I think probably if you stop spilling meats on, that's going to help a lot.
And it could be a pacifying behavior, but a lot of times with dogs, it's they don't keep stress inside a lot, and so they'll bark or they'll lick or they'll be destructive. Licking, especially licking one of their items, is probably one of the least destructive things a dog can do. So if that's it, if that's the only behavior and otherwise the dog is doing fine, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time trying to stop it because you get rid of that behavior and that's going to be replaced with something else. Again, you look at the onset. Is this something that the dog just does? It could be a pacifying thing. Does the dog do it right before it goes to bed? Sometimes dogs have these behaviors where these behavior patterns where they'll circle their bed and they kind of, have this routine. And that's a healthy thing, actually. So if you associate it with, a certain time of day and the dog's really not destroying anything, he's eating well, he looks healthy, he's acting healthy, it's probably just, a quirky thing that he does. Why is it his bed? I don't know. It could be the material that it's made out of. And like I said, if you can pinpoint it to a certain time or a certain part of his routine, it just may be some vestige behavior of when, the dog was a puppy. And again, if it's an excessive thing where he's licking himself and maybe licking his paws raw, you might want to look at things like allergies or maybe a substrate that's bothering him that he's walking on or laying on. But if it's just licking his bed a little bit, it's a little weird, a little odd. I know Matt does that at home. I talked to his wife, and
I can't stop. I can't stop doing it. It's just it's habit.
But other than that, he's kind of normal. So we just kind of let it go.
You mentioned fabrics, and we do see sometimes microfiber is something that they like to lick for whatever reason. That tends to be something. So, and a lot of things are made in microfiber now. So that might be something to look at as well.
All right,
there is this behavior that some dogs have. It's when puppies are suckling and they kind of have that milk haze where they're just kind of zoning out. If that's what he's doing, let him go. He's just relaxing. He's just kind of getting out a little excess energy, and he's just kind of getting in the zone. And I wouldn't really pay too much attention to it other than maybe make a video out of it and get a YouTube channel, and maybe people find it entertaining and make some money. I don't know.
Can I ask another lick question? Jamie, I think you're right. I think this is a licking episode. Okay. I've seen cats, especially mine. They find a spot on the floor in the carpet, and they continue to lick in that one spot all the time. They can't stop. Is that kind of the same with what the dog is doing, or is that a so specific behavior for a cat? They just lick, and we call it her lick spot. I don't know any other way to.
It's the same spot on the carpet.
Same spot on the carpet.
Is it daily?
Just about.
Is that the area where you do your Pilates?
What was that, Karen?
I said, is it suckling or is it licking? Like
licking.
Sucking
she's licking. No suckling. It's the weirdest thing.
I kind of have this mental image of, do you know that episode of The Office where the whole container of chili gets spilled on the floor?
Yes.
It could be one of those situations. I was just saying.
All right.
Could be something that cat smells there that he just likes.
Is it a wood floor, Matt?
It's carpet.
I know, but underneath, is it wood?
Actually, no, it is not.
Okay. Because, sometimes dogs will indicate, especially if your house has a crawl space, they'll indicate where, a rodent or something may be underneath your house, maybe scratch it, that sort of thing. But cat may be doing the same thing, but if it's a cement floor, you can probably rule that out, I suppose.
Strange. Yeah. I just figured I'd toss it out there. We're talking about licking, so what better time?
Right.
All right. So, Andrew, we're going to test your skills here. Samantha, I sent you an email. Did you get that email? And Brian, Matt, you should have the email too, right?
Yeah.
Because we're going to, you guys dig out that email. Andrew, we're going to play a little game here.
Fact or fiction? You decide.
All right, here we go, Andrew. 3 headlines ripped from the new. 2 are true. 1 is absolutely false, created by me earlier when I should have been self-grooming.
Thanks, Kathy.
Whatever. All right, so they're going to read these 3 headlines to you. One is false. 2 are true. You got to pick the false fact here. And they'll take turns. Ladies first, Samantha. You get to be the reader. Do you have it yet? She's working on it. All right, we'll start with Matthew while Samantha digs up
ladies
the
first
email.
it is then. All right.
Wait, you didn't even send it to me.
All right. Do you have it, Matt?
Yeah, I got you.
All right.
So this is story number 1. Indian border police dresses up in bear costumes to chase pesky monkeys away. There you go, Andrew.
Headline number 2, dogs being used to serve guests in cafes to maintain social distancing.
All right. Sam, did you find it?
You didn't even send it to me.
Okay. And headline
No, I swear.
number 3. Headline number 3. Dogs go through teenage phase when they hit puberty. All right. So
Boy, you guys,
3 headlines.
if this were last year, I think I would be able to pick one, but since it's 2020 and basically all bets are off.
All right. 3 headlines.
All right, so
there.
one more time for you, Andrew. You ready? So headline number 1, Indian border police dresses up in bear costumes to chase pesky monkeys away.
Yeah, and then the dogs being used for social distancing and dogs go through puberty. Wow. I'm not gauging the headlines. I'm gauging you guys more than anything. And I'm feeling like, the 2 dog ones for Animal Talk Radio, that's pretty good. But at the same time, man, I've been watching some videos from India that are just like, I don't know, putting me way out there. I am going to go ahead and go with the Indian one. Keep my fingers crossed.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I found it.
That's real.
There you go. All right. So, well, let's pick on Dr. Karen. Dr. Karen, we got 2 headlines left. We're down to a 50-50 chance. He guessed Matt. He was wrong. Brian, what was your headline again?
My headline is dogs being used to serve guests in cafes to maintain social distancing.
And Sam, the third headline?
Dogs go through teenage phase when they hit puberty.
Well, dogs do kind of go through a teenage. So I'm going to say that one's true. And I'm going to say in the cafes is false, but I'm not sure about that because nowadays, who knows?
Wile E. Coyote, super genius.
There you go. Yeah, that was I made that one up. Although who knows right now, people doing there's dogs delivering wine. We read that story a couple weeks ago. So.
I've heard of people having their dogs take things to their neighbors and stuff, like take food to their neighbors. So, that's why I wasn't quite sure. But in a cafe, I can't think that would actually be acceptable. At least not in the United States.
There it is. All right, Sam, what's that story about dogs going through their
Oh, I have to read that? I'm a bad reader.
just hit the first lead. Did you? Oh, you closed
I don't
it
like
up.
reading. Wait. It's not even here.
Is it down further? They should be down further.
Sorry, I have no service in here, so I'm trying to
it's okay.
load the thing. I'm so sorry. I have no.
But you should see.
And the internet here is terrible.
Matt has the story. Matt, you had the story about the Indian border police.
I do.
You got to just everybody. If you're listening, no matter when you're listening, Google Indian Border Patrol police dressed up in bear costume because it's worth seeing the picture. You have
the pictures. Oh my god! So there's a lot of people out there who actually take their jobs really seriously, but we feel none take their job more seriously than the authorities in the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, the ITPB. And this is coming out of the Rojak Daily. You see, the Indian Border Police have always had trouble with these pesky monkeys who are always creating a racket and stealing stuff. So to combat that, they came up with this brilliant idea: become a bear. So they're being very clever. So according to a report by Unilad, several Border Patrol officers were caught on camera donning black bear costumes in hopes of scaring away the pesky monkeys. In the video, the 2 ITPB BP personnel were seen inching slowly towards a group of monkeys which had taken over the landscape around the Murthy ITBP camp on the border with Tibet in India's eastern Uttarkhand province. So the footage is actually pretty hilarious. So if you get a chance, go and take a look at it. But so whatever it takes, in the wide words of the Avengers, whatever it takes. So our Care Bears are out there.
Yeah, it's hilarious. You gotta. They look like Sasquatch running across the thing. It's so funny.
That's like me running.
Oh, it's so charming. All right, Samantha, did you find that story? Did it come up?
Did.
For you?
I'm so sorry. It
You're
took me a minute. I also hate reading because I'm terrible.
All right.
Can't do it worse than I do.
What?
Go on.
Okay, so basically this is the gist. A study from a team of UK universities suggests dogs act in a similar way to humans when they hit puberty. None were caught smoking or swearing at their owners, but they were found more likely to ignore commands and were harder to train. So the team of universities looked at 69 dogs before adolescence, which is 5 months, and then again during 8 months, which is, I believe, I don't know dog years. So it says dogs in adolescence took longer to respond to the sit command, even if they knew how to do it, which is really wild. And then there was a questionnaire with 285 dog owners who showed similar results. The animals going through puberty were harder to train.
So, Dr. Karen, they say that dogs, the rule of thumb is like 7 years for every year, but is there like the first year is like really escalated or something?
Yeah, well, in their first year, they're growing so much. The 7-year thing does not apply. There's kind of a graduated scale. And then the 7-year only applies for a short time in the middle of the lifetime. And then even as they age, that changes as well, too, because they age so much quicker than we do. And when you look at the lifespan of a dog, and depending on the breed of the dog, that can make a difference as well. But, the puberty thing, I've clearly seen that. The majority of the dogs that we get in on rescue are usually about, somewhere between 6 months and a year and a half. And, my belief, and I think a lot of others, is that those dogs were showing their puberty at that time. They're just being a little more difficult. And so the owners relinquish them. And, by the time we get them, then they've kind of passed that phase and are ready to learn and do well. And so we don't have a lot of problems rehoming those dogs because they're fine. They've gotten past that phase.
Excellent.
If there's ever been a more compelling argument for putting a shock collar on your elementary student, like age child, I've never heard one because, get them early, get them right,
We still, Brian's supposed to bring the shock collar in for us. We were going to put it on Sam.
Yeah, I was going to test it out.
I found the collar. You're
really?
up next. Yes.
Yes. I'm ready.
I can't wait till we can be together again. All right, Brian, I got another behavior question here. I need advice on a destructive dog. They're trashing the place. I have an American Rottweiler. I got him as a baby. He's never bitten anyone. He'll bark at intruders unless you come in through the front door. He's sweet as pie to children. But I had to make him an outside dog house because he started marking everywhere in the house whenever I turned my head. Even after having him fixed, he gets into things and he's very destructive in the house. I have a sun patio, and I'll put him out there and he will literally rip through the sunscreen and go insane to get back in the house. I'm not finding an answer for this. He can get in trouble out in the yard if a cat wanders in the yard or a squirrel or a rabbit. It has not ended well for a couple, so I'm reluctant to have him outside unattended. How can I keep him from marking and trashing things in the house?
Sometimes a marking behavior, and of course they've already had the dog neutered, but marking behavior can be traced back to corrections that are too harsh or after the fact. Sometimes these sorts of corrections can cause an ambient stress, to get a little out of hand, and the marking problem is a result. I've seen it in Rottweilers. Rottweilers, 10, 15 years ago used to be really, really popular, and I trained quite a few of them. They're still pretty popular, but this is a pretty common problem with a lot of Rottweilers. I think with a big, strong, confident dog, sometimes people might treat them a little too harsh, and maybe the corrections will be a reflection of that, and consequently the dog will resort to some destructive behaviors. It sounds to me like they need to get a better handle on the dog's behaviors, which means maybe doing some obedience classes, getting the dog out and going for a good run, or doing some playtime with them that's at the same time, same sort of energy release every day, just to get the dog cycling that energy and that behavior. And these dogs are they're smart, they're big, they're strong, they're athletic dogs, and if they're cooped up, or if they don't have an outlet, these are some pretty common problems that result. So and one of the things you want to look at is corrections after the fact. You can't correct a dog after the fact. All it's going to do is cause stress and cause anxiety in the dog, and you're going to end up with a lot of problems. So first thing I would do is enroll in a basic obedience class as soon as the quarantine is lifted, and see if you can get a language with which to communicate with your dog. That'll go a long way towards lowering that stress.
Well, there is even remote training going on right now. People are doing some remote training. It probably wouldn't be bad to just get started and get some advice from a trainer remotely even.
Yeah. There are a lot of good videos too, online, videos that people can use for basic training that would help quite a bit.
The nipping, chewing.
I would definitely look to the correction.
Won't come when called training videos.
What's that?
The nipping, chewing won't come when called training.
Yeah, right, exactly. But the marking behaviors, it's almost a reflex with some dogs, and they don't even think about it. So the correction is going to be problematic at best, because it's not like the dog is thinking about it, or he's looking at the trash can like he wants to get into it, and he's got these mischievous thoughts. They just go and they lift their leg. It's almost a way of getting rid of stress real quick, and they might go and mark 3 or 4 things at a time. So I would definitely look at your training regimen.
Yeah. All right. There's another one. This question is kind of similar, but this is a 10-month-old red healer, and it's my red healer won't heal. We rescued him. He's 10 months old. He was on the street as a pup and then crated by a second owner. That second owner had him crated for up to 10 hours a day. He's with us now. He's very playful, chews on a lot of stuff, but the problem is he won't come when called. We'd like him to respond when we call for him. How do we change this behavior?
Well, you're setting him up to fail. If you give the dog a directive, if you say come, and he doesn't come to you, all you've taught him is to not come to you. So think of it as teaching him a language. And when you teach him a language, you have to supply the definition of the word first, which requires the dog being on a leash. And if you have to, reel him in like a fish. You tell him come, reel him in, give him a treat, make it real fun. And then the dog will start learning that when he hears his name and the word come, that not only is it good, but it becomes a habit. As soon as he hears it, he does something. Once that's in his head, you can't take it out. So once the dog comes to you consistently, then that's the only thing that occurs to them. And then they'll come to you every time. And then and only then you start removing the leash and trying it. But beforehand, you're just setting yourself up to fail, because then the dog will learn that he has the upper hand. He's the one that determines whether or not he wants to come to you when he's called. And that's the worst thing you can teach a dog or a child or a spouse.
So 10 months. 10 months, is that a good training point for a dog?
Yeah, we were talking about the terrible twos, the adolescents. I mean, that's how dog trainers stay in business, because you have a 3-month-old puppy that follows you everywhere, and you think you have such a great control of this and a great bond, and all of a sudden this dog starts running off this way, chewing on things, terrorizing. So yeah, that's the time to get them in and to get them, to get them working and refocused. And dogs love to learn. If they're in a good training regimen, that's using some good positive methods, dogs absolutely love it. And you're talking about a red healer here. They were born to do this stuff. So, it's second nature to them. So you have to, whenever you give the dog a word or a command, you have to be prepared to follow it up with an example or somehow get them working towards that direction. Otherwise, the word is meaningless to them.
And I think Brian will agree with me that the sooner you get your puppy or dog into obedience, the better the situation. I've had people, because I do a lot of work with the rescued greyhounds, and they say, well, the dog is 4 years old. I can't take it to obedience. Oh, yeah, you can. Anytime is good, but especially when you have a puppy, the sooner you do it, the better.
Oh, yeah, you can train puppies at 8 weeks. They're ready to learn. You use different techniques based on the developmental stage of the dog, but using positive reinforcement can be done 8, 10, 12 weeks of age, and puppies learn really, really quick. So it's, absolutely. You don't want to wait or hold off. And to Karen's point, you can absolutely teach a 4, 5, 6-year-old dog or older to respond to commands and to be an obedient dog. So there's no such thing as not being able to teach an old dog new tricks.
Yay. All right. Hey, I can't believe how fast this hour has flown by. It's just, it's like lightning fast. Who's bad?
Time flies when you're talking about licking.
It's time for the bad animal joke of the week.
Who's bad? I feel bad about these already.
Are they not good?
I feel a little shame already. It's time for the bad animal joke of the week. Hey, Samantha.
Hey, what?
What do you call two octopuses that look exactly alike?
The same?
Identical.
Oh.
Why do cows have hooves instead of feet?
Hooves?
Yeah, why do
instead
cows?
Of feet.
Yeah, why do cows have hooves?
Because they're bovine creatures.
They lactose.
Oh my god. No.
I'm gonna stop there.
Hey, James. Why do chicken coops only have 1 or 2 doors?
Why do they only have?
Because if they had 4 doors, it'd be a chicken sedan.
That's awesome, Andrew. Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it. What's your website again? And good luck with the face masks.
I appreciate that. OregonPPE.org, ThomasCreekDigitalMedia.com, and just on Facebook for all of my other shows. We go out live. Oh, and Twitch. Don't forget about the Twitch, Boost Booze BBQ on Twitch. We've got some really cool stuff going on over there. So I encourage everybody to come and check us out. Thank you once again. It was great talking to everybody on the panel here.
Yeah, you green screen it up, and it's you do it up when you do those.
We try.
That's awesome. All right, Dr. Karen, what's the website for the clinic again?
It's SerenityAnimalHospital.net.
All right. Sam, give us a shout out.
Oh, hey, so we are the Animal Talk podcast, and we have our website, www.animaltalkradio.com, and then we have our social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Animal Talk Radio, and then we have our merch site, wearingfunny.com, so you can go buy some merch and do that.
The new t-shirt has
we
Matt
have
on
YouTube
it.
too.
The new shirt has Matt on it.
It does?
It does. So
maybe I'll buy it.
All right. Anyway, everybody, thanks so much for hanging out. Appreciate it. Brian, I appreciate you. Keep living that thug life over there. It's like
every time he comes out, I'm
Sons
just
of
like, he
Anarchy
looks like
extra.
such a thug.
He's like that one mean guy at the end of the bar on Sons of Anarchy. The
I just haven't showered today. That's all. I just
woke up.
All right, you guys. Everybody, please have an exotic week.
And kiss your wild thing for me. Brian's always the first one to be out.
Yeah, he's
out.
I get a